Hello once again. This is why I haven't been around. I've been kind of distracted here because I had to run out to, as you can see, Mother is not in Minnesota anymore. She's in Chicago. And there's a story coming up here to corroborate this detail. But so I'm like, hey, how am I going to start today's episode? I should let people know what's going on. And what is going on is that I've got a few distractions. And Mom's birthday came up. And in the beginning of this episode, you'll be able to hear some of those details that have occurred. And then we're going to get into a little bit about giants, about sculpture, about artwork, and then hopefully not pointlessly end, but end nonetheless. So thanks for joining this particular haphazard production. Son, Mother, Gene Johnson, some positive energy toward Minnesota, and thanks for watching. Hello once again. Welcome back to another uplifting, generative, creative, enlightening, and happy haphazard production. With your faceless host, Lance Reynard, playing a little bit of the old Blackbird. And I hope you enjoy today's production because we're going to be talking about giants, we're going to be talking about architecture and strange anomalies in sculpture. And the possibilities that the sculptors aren't really what they thought or what we're taught. So, thanks for watching this haphazard production. Comment, like, and subscribe if you ever have time. And I will carry on, good man. Hello once again. Welcome back to another haphazard recording, or welcome for the first time. I'm your host, Lance Reynard, in the haphazard universe, and I apologize for being gone for so long. I made a couple of mistakes after my last recording. One of them was eating my mother's cooking. Not to discount my mother's cooking, it's just that she can handle toxic waste so much better than I can. And then I made the mistake of taking the wrong medication. Rather than taking my common heart medication, I accidentally took 10 tabs of acid and ended up in Chicago under the L train, partying all night long. Well, for a few days, actually, and eventually made my way back to the Roadkill Cafe, where I realized I had left my computer on and recording for 3 days. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome back to another curious haphazard production with your spontaneously reactive hosts, reactionary and retentive, anal retentive, Lance Reynard, and briefly popping in here today to show you a few megalithic structures and bring up a few more curiosities about these details, which will have me deleted from YouTube in no time at all. And if you've seen the last video that I made about the rules that we are subject to in the YouTube universe, I have no complaints. I have just observations and comments, statements that are true and obvious. Now, these stones that you see over here on the right side are megalithic stones, of course. And minor consideration, if your knees came up to the top of this stone, if you were, that tall, these stones would be easy to pop into the ground. Minor comment, I'm just saying if. And that curiosity doesn't seem to be brought up, or that fact or possibility, in that, of course, we know there were giants. So why wouldn't the giants that were around just, be the ones that stuck these in? Because there are no written comments of giants doing it? Probably. That would be my guess. That would be my humble guess. I would sooner believe that great big people stuck all these stones into the ground. I would sooner believe that than that a bunch of people our size, little puny itsy bitsy ant people, in comparison to the size of these stones, well, not these ones, but very many curious setups. But I would sooner believe that large people stuck these in than us little ant people. Now, if you look at the history, or the stated history in written chronicles of, say, biblical origin, there were, Nephilim and gigantic creatures. Some people. Anyway, the point that I made was quite clear. Now, you see the shaling off here on the right stone, or the left side, how the stone is shaling off as an indication of poured stone. I just saw a video on poured marble and fabricating marble, and those, that statues with the net structure on it. Now, as part of my haphazard presentation, I put in amazing sculptures, and I was looking for a individual and particular amazing sculpture. But since we're here, I am going to browse through and see if the one that I am looking for, which is the most popular with the net, it's like a David with a net. But here we have some, you can see, New York, USA, some amazing sculptures. And as you can also see, the Brooklyn Bridge location and what buildings are behind. And I will not go into too specific of detail, just as in the UK, as you can see, with Dandelion by Robin White. UK sculpture. Here in Florence, Italy, now Roger at Mud Fossil University will tell you this is a bleeding leg over here, or draining out the iron from a living thing. And the contention, and this is number 3 of a sculpture in Florence, Italy. And Colossus is the name. If that were me, well, all right, just something to look at, consider, and think of the fossilized, mineralized biology that could be possible. Number 4, inner children trapped inside adult bodies. That is pretty common. I was a man trapped in a woman's body until I was born, and then I was a man out. Okay, and then now number 5 is The Force of Nature by Lorenzo Quinn. Hold on to that ball, that sphere. I'm sorry, did I say the B word? Oh my. All right, number 6, Mustangs. Now, in the future, after we're all decimated, the new order comes in, and people will wonder, how did they petrify those horses? Mustangs. Robert Glenn, well done, in Texas. Really a cool sculpture. And on to the next. And in case you're wondering, no, I haven't seen the one that I'm looking for and that I've mentioned earlier. And so here's a black ghost in Lithuania. Klaipėda, Lithuania. Or Klaipėda. Kinda creepy. So that's just to catch people that don't know it's there. They're just kind of walking along and, whoa! This thing's like crawling up at you. Excellent sculpture. Little foot coming out back there. The rope hanging down. It hasn't been graffitied. That's cool. Very nice. Very nice indeed. So here we have number 8, the Caring Hand. Holding das Trienstanz. Very nice. Switzerland. Glasgow, Switzerland. The Hand de la Caring. Another cool sculpture. Thought I'd run that past my screen. Breakthrough from Your Mold by Zenos Frodakis in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. I wonder if that one reaching out catches people as they walk by. There must be some sort of... Well, maybe not. Maybe they're just kind of like those streets I mentioned. Everyone knows it's there. This is a nice one from Romania. I guess, Mihai Eminescu, Honesty, Romania. Pretty cool. Silhouette sculpture. I'd imagine done in a steel. Metal. The Rain Man. Twice on Sundays. I'm a good driver. There's a Rain Man. Other AKA Dusty Hoffman. That's a pretty cool little sculpture. Kind of makes me want to hit the can. Diminish and ascend. Diminish and ascend. Wow, that's in Australia, in Bondi, Australia. Of course, everybody in Bondi knows about it. People don't actually try to... That's a sculpture, huh? Let's see this. It's an optical illusion. The stairs are just made smaller, like a thorn. I gotcha. It's a matter of perspective and angle of... that's cool. Take another look. It's all just like a little point, really, but appears to go off into everywhere. Nowhere are the clouds. That's cool. Popped up by Everin Lawrence Hervey in Budapest, Hungary. Oh man, so here you go. Big giant crawling out of the ground, suddenly calcified. That is neat. Right by a castle too. I suppose if I could afford a castle, I could afford that kind of sculpture. That is excellent. When you try to sleep in on Saturday, but the kids won't let you. Dum dum dum! Get me out of here! Who's with me? Free the statue. These people petrified underwater. And of course, this is in the West Indies, Grenada, by Jason Decorays Taylor. Good job, man. Wow. Cool. And so I would imagine that was created and then set there, and it is creepy, as the comment Emily Rose states. Apparently the number 15 is somebody attacked by a large drop of water. Really staring into it. A raindrop by Nakazir Blizik in Ukraine. Quite the perspective. Almost looks like the alien thing. And sorry, I don't mean to be overly creepy, but isn't that? You walk along, you don't know about it, and then suddenly you find this guy petrified with a big blob on his face. Quite a bit strange, but a cool sculpture. And then this one is Sowing the Seeds of the Stars. In my opinion, the Lithuania Shadow Street Art in Kaunas, Lithuania. And as you can see, the seed sower of the stars. Curious analogy and intent indeed, good man. Now the 17th singing of the building outside the State Library in Melbourne, Australia. See, that's what happens when you mess gravity. Library. My mistake. I think thou knowest that which I speak, and now 17 is another curious sculpture. And if you don't, well, that's fine. Let's glaze past. Glaze on, good man, glaze on is all good. Number 18, Epic 1320. Ton God. Ton. Oh, let's see, 1,320 ton. God of War statue in China. That is fantastic. I would like a couple of those. In the front yard, on either side of the driveway, if I had a driveway. And another ship, if I had a driveway, and another jet going overhead with the hippo sculptures in Taipei, Taiwan. Just kind of swimming around in the bricks. Excellent idea. Taipei, excellent tray. So as we round to the end of these sculptures, there's a lot of shoes in different parts of the world. This one is in, once again, Budapest. Very The Shoes in the Danube Bank by Ken Toge and Geiler Power. Budapest, Hungary. Curious sculptures indeed. Now, I was covering poured stone, and we haven't really seen that much poured stone here. But it is curious to look at and consider what can be done today in relation to what has been done in the past and what we ignore, what we have been ignoring. So that's part of the fun in pointing things out in these channel productions, which are soon to be deleted by 20 Mule Team Borax. These guys just, night of the living, walking out of the, cool. Ocean Atlantis, another underwater poured. So this is cool. The underwater statue of a girl carrying the ocean on her shoulders. Put that ocean down, girl. Just let it go. It's fine without you. So, this is a great example of something that I consider had been poured underwater and formed and then poured, and really cool. Right, so looking up how that was done should be an entire episode of mine. And, here we go. We're tripping a police officer? Curious. Those underground criminals. In Brussels, Belgium. Here we find an underground criminal tripping up a police officer. Funny. Snap. Huh. And there's, once again, respect for the area. No graffiti, no chopped off parts, no single finger detail. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Excellent. Number 25, Nelson Mandela in South Africa. What a fantastic sculpture that is. And pieced out and set in, I would imagine, steel. I wouldn't mind seeing that from the side. And there we go with 26. Bunch of steel kids jumping in Singapore. Chong Fa Ching. I'm sorry. By Kong Fa Chang. Chong Fa Chang. 26 people of the river jumping into the river. Another excellent Sculptural. This is in the UK once again, as you can see. Grangemouth Kelpies in the UK. Beautiful sculpture. And the size of the people in relation to the size of the sculpture is curious and interesting. Here we have a gun that will not shoot, the backfiring gun or the knotted gun in Turtle Bay, New York. Turtle Bay's got the big knotted gun. Huh, that's a little twisted. Yeah, yeah. So, that's, these guys, oh man. It's one way to protect your trees. Ain't no dog gonna be taking care. It'd be great to have a dog over here doing this, so, why don't we get that photograph? Probably does exist. Yorkshire Sculpture Park. All right, then. Yeah, that's one way to protect your trees, hold them up, or there's other innuendos I will not... Oops, that'll get me deleted. So, salmon sculpture in Portland, Oregon. Huh. Well, that's pretty neat. Gives me... I was going to go to Portland, just see what was there, but now I know it's there. I don't have to. Excellent. And a fish in a building. Brick salmon, apparently. We have number 31, a man hanging out in Prague, in the Czech Republic. Once again, that is cool. I'm just hanging around. Just hanging around for the day. And it's supposed to be Sigmund Freud, according to the comment. That's Freud making a statement. And I can think of a few. But how they hanging? And 32, The Rising Tide by Jason de Carestelle in London. Way to go, Jason. It was nice. I wonder, yeah, of course, those were made and set in place. It's not like he put them there or sculpted them there, but it is cool. The tide comes up and down, creating different effects. And it looks like the horses have this very curious top on them. And so here we have number 33. Oh my God. Pearls, swine looking for pearls. What is going on in Adelaide? You people. And nobody's even looking at the pigs. I mean, they're probably used to them. Those stupid pigs. I keep tripping over them. But there you go. And they're probably not stupid at all. They're probably just, cast bronze. All right, number 34, we're rounding up to the end. Yay! Magic wire mesh sculpture. Now, I'm not finding the actual, and this is great and everything, but the sculpture that I'm looking for, okay, if I put in, I guess I was looking for the most amazing work in sculptures. When you go into sculptures with a net, there really aren't that many, and why would there be? I mean, it's crazy to try and sculpt something with a net. But then you get into this flowing, silky look. All right, with something that's moldable or pliable, or you know, something that's wet and moldable, depending on the amount of moldability, you could actually, it would be more like just working with a clay that sets into a hard stone. And that is the contention of many of the observers now with this netted statue, is that that was the case. Because of the fact that to work stone in this diameter, the amount of pressure that it takes to create the groove would be more than the stone in that area can bear. Unless, there are other techniques with sanding and slow sand filing that might work, but not for this many areas. You would have to have evidence of that. And so it is the evidence of the tool work and the marking and the consideration of how much stress can this strand take before it breaks, and the fact that there aren't any that have breaks or repaired sections that are visible. And so the only logical conclusion on that is that which is evidenced here and doesn't really fit the mainstream, that this was carved out of a chunk of granite rather than molded slowly and then set. And the only person that would actually know the final details of that and this one with the silk appearance, and then of course there's the famous woman's face. There are a couple with drawn silk appearance like this one, and the concept that an application of wet was put over and then silk was drawn, and then once the set began, the silk was removed and some refinement was made, would be the consideration for that, to make maybe not totally impossible with today's technology. However, Sylvia Ivanova brought up in one of her videos that there are tool marks in the corners and in the ear area of some of these pieces. There are little holes, as if the same type of hole is done with a 3D printer, creates that sort of a hole in the side of the piece. And so that would give explanation to some of these works in the ability to fabricate something of this nature. So if this can be done today, that's cool. Who's doing it? I wouldn't mind seeing a video on that. And so before leaving this, the curiosity as to whether or not it was the Play-Doh process that was a soft marble. I just put Play-Doh out there to give you the idea of the possibility that there may have been compounds, and still are compounds, that set over time that can be molded and are pliable, that we're not told about. That's possible to create the the net. Excuse me for coming back to the image that I intended to start with. This netted image. And a curiosity is the depth behind the net. I don't see a good image here to use, but when you go to the very bottom of this sculpture, and at the very bottom where the net goes all the way through, the curiosity is to whether or not he took a 1 foot long chisel to get that back in there, or had really, really small people crawl in there. I know it's a joke, but the thing is, the distance from the front of the net to the very back, and once again, I don't have an accurate here. This is probably the closest on the far right. The depth of the net. In other words, you'd have to have a chisel that is 1 or 2 feet long. You'd have to extend it way back in there, that sort of thing. Just curiosity. And also, the lost wax casting process is where you carve something out of wax, and and then you pour, and the wax is lost through the process. Let's see if I have another image right here. Bronze casting and images. So anyway, I wanted to leave it off with these curious considerations as to whether somebody had poured or made a pliable mold. I mean, some of these molds are just massive, and that is a lost wax method of a massive piece of wax carved to the way the mold is going to be. And so these are just fantastic pieces, but realize once again they are carved out of a soft material and then cast. And with the stone that is so difficult for us to explain, I'm not saying they were carved out of soft material, but it is a possibility that I don't believe enough people have really investigated, in my humble opinion. So with that, I'll leave these curiosities. I don't need any conclusions. It seems to me that every time I create a production, I have complications from that production, and therefore, the number, I mean, if I keep my controversial issues, I will be deleted or eliminated from YouTube. But in the meantime, what can I do? I am not going to worry about it. I'll talk about the fact that these were not carved out of hard stuff. And so why would we consider that the most beautiful and intricate pieces were when these weren't? Obviously, because they're made of bronze. And stone can also be molded and carved and hardened over time. And so with that, when we consider the timelines, what we see within the timelines, and also that's cool. That's a reverse image there. Pretty cool. It's just a matter of consideration. What is and what was, and what we're told. And so once again, thanks for watching and playing and considering, and stay happy, stay positive, and send some positive energy toward my mother's situation, and I will create another one. Well, like I said, with the interest I'm shown, my productions will increase. Thanks for playing.